La tecnología que se utiliza para un coche de F4 y Eurocup 3, aquí la basamos en impresión. Imprimimos con una tecnología de impresión que se llama UV, laminamos con láminas especiales y utilizamos unos vinilos que a F4 y Eurocup 3 les van muy bien, que son Ultra Tack y además tiene una fácil reposición. Es decir, les es muy fácil a los equipos quitar y poner sin dejar residuo y de una manera muy sencilla. Y a su vez soportan velocidades de 300 km/h sin perder ese tack que tiene el propio vinilo. El diseño empieza cuando se crea la pieza. Cuando hacen el modelaje de la pieza, se crea esa pieza y se hace manualmente una plantilla con papel adhesivo, se le pega un papel, se crea, luego se digitaliza y ya luego los equipos de diseño gráfico lo que hacen pues, es poner los logotipos de los partners, como en este caso huellas. Luego se digitaliza y ya se pasa a preimpresión, donde se prepara para imprimir, y a impresión, donde ya se prepara, y luego laminación, se lamina, se va a corte y ya se produce para hacer todos los paquetes de vinilos que se van a enviar a diferentes sitios del mundo, donde se celebra el campeonato. La innovación en nuestro sector va muy despacio, la verdad, y las empresas que no están día a día, nosotros por ejemplo la semana pasada estuvimos en FESPA, una feria internacional de Barcelona, es el primer año que se hace en España e intentamos siempre estar a la vanguardia en tecnologías, en maquinaria y en software, que es muy importante. Así nosotros es como intentamos estar a la vanguardia en tecnología, yendo a ferias, informándonos bien por mediación de redes sociales y foros, y formación y más formación.
Gracias to Victor Sanchez of Huelas. Now you know a little bit more about how these fantastic F4 Spanish Championship cars look and how they maintain their beautiful aesthetic style. Jake Sanson in the commentary booth as we get ready for the third and final race of round 2 of the 2026 F4 Spanish Championship, certified by FIA, and where better to race? The Autodromo Internacional Algarve, one of the key race circuits in Europe and certainly one of the most pinnacle racetracks to have been brought to us in the 21st century. It'll be back on the Grand Prix calendar next year. For now, though, it is part of the F4 Spanish Championship, and what a battle we are set to have after yesterday's 2 encounters that were blitzed by Boris Leisen, the Polish driver, who has now leapt to the top of the standings, 10 points clear of his rivals. So it's going to be an interesting one today, because on this occasion, Boris Leisen will be starting back in P6. Who grabbed the pole position? That man, Andrej Petrovic. And not only does he get the pole position, but the 2 bonus points that go with it. His championship attack is alive and kicking. The man who was second in the F4 Saudi Arabian Championship 2024, a winner in the Central European Zone Championship as well in 2024, and raced in both the F4 and Winter Spanish Championship last year, as well as this. Andrej Petrovic for T-Code by Amtog, lining up alongside his teammate Nasho Tunyon on the front row of the starting grid. Great start to the weekend for Nasho, but he really wants to finish it off in style here on the front row of the grid. The 19-year-old from Oviedo, 4 years racing under the DPK colours in FIA karting as one of the protégés of Fernando Alonso himself. This man, though, Casper Schormans, has elevated himself onto the second row of the grid alongside Noah Montero, the 16-year-old from Coimbra. But Casper Schormans, who is based very close to the Belgian border near the karting Genk circuit, well, this man has already had a meteoric rise to superstardom, raced in the KZ2 gearbox category of the FIA karting procedure for Birolart and CPB Sport over the years, as well as making his debut in the Formula Trophy in cars in the UAE at the tail end of last year, already right up at the sharp end of the dais in the top 5 of the F4 Spanish Championship. Speaking of the top 5, Nathan Tye is also part of that. The 17-year-old from Sheffield, he'll be there on row 3 of the grid alongside Boris Leisen. Then Ty Fisher, Rocco Coronel, who actually lost his result from race 1 due to a penalty, and that has put him 10 points back in the championship fight. Simon Barbarella will be 9th on the grid, and Jakub Mikulev, the man who got the pole position yesterday, well, this time he'll have to settle for P10. But this man is your new championship leader. Boris Leisen has absolutely stormed his way into the lead of the championship. 10 points ahead of Rocco Coronel, 12 ahead of Noah Montero, and a whopping 24 ahead of Casper Schormans. It's definitely now looking likely to be his title campaign to lose, the way things are currently stacked up. So it's time for the T-Code boys, Andrej Petrovic and Nasho Tunyon, to throw their weight into the championship fight. And of course, the big question is going to be, what can Leijten, Coronel and Montero do today in this third and final race of the weekend that will set them up for a chance to continue their battle later in the season. Of course, they've got a little bit of R&R to do between races before we venture to the third round of the championship in 2 weeks' time at Motorland Aragon in Alcañiz. So it's very important that the drivers put as many points on the board while they've got a chance. And certainly for the 16-year-old on your screen, Noah Montero, he really wants to convert his podium yesterday into a win today. And starting from third on the grid, he's got a great chance to do that. But he started pole position in the second race yesterday, and it didn't work out in his favour. And speaking of not working out in his favour, Rocco Coronel has had a miserable weekend thus far by his fantastic standings. Let's see if he can turn things around in this third and final race of the weekend. Rocco Coronel starting 8th position on the grid today. He's definitely not having as great a run in Portimao as he did in Valencia, so he would certainly like things to turn around from his perspective. There is the Canadian, Ty Fisher, the youngest man in the field, born on Boxing Day 2010. And the Canadian, who is based out of White Rock in British Columbia, will certainly be wanting to showcase that his flamboyant pace in the early part of the season has not been a fluke. And this man could really use a decent result as well. Vivek Kanthan, 11th on the grid this time, the 17-year-old from New York City, but it's not going his way thus far. He has not scored as many points as he would like by quite a long way. Yesterday, one of the key factors here at the Autodromo Algarve was wind speed and certainly air temperature. Well, the wind has dropped completely. 3 kilometers an hour top speed is likely to be all we're going to get from this first race of the day and the final race of the F4 Spanish Championship. I say the first race of the day because there is a Euro Cup 3 race straight after this, and that will conclude the weekend. It's a bit of a half day here on the Portimao circuit. But the air temperature, well, that's currently at 22 degrees Celsius. So track temperature, 28 degrees Celsius at the moment, and a third humidity at the moment. You're looking at 2 of the previous Yami Euro Series cadet champions, Luna Flusha, who got the job done in 2021, and Daniel Kelleher, who got the job done in 2022. Both young drivers who want to make a big impact. Speaking of making a big impact, I'm not alone in the broadcast booth. I'm Jake Stanton in the commentary box, and I'm joined in the pit lane by Alex Garcia, who always makes a big impact on our broadcasts. Hola, mi amigo. It's a little bit less windy today.
Hello, Jake. Yes, it is a little bit less windy, but I can tell you that the impact is the one that I felt with the sun yesterday. As you can see, I changed my strategy. I'm protecting my arms a little bit more, because otherwise the impact is the one that I will feel upon coming back home with this spectacular sun here in the south of Portugal. It has been a fantastic weather the whole weekend, and this is great weather for racing. But if you like that, Jake, we can start talking a little bit about the sporting side. And it has been a great Sunday for T-Code, for Technicar, with 2 cars on the front row. This is something we had never seen before.
A wonderful opportunity for them. In terms of the sun, I recommend arm socks, buddy. That always really works. But yes, you're absolutely right. Petrovic and Tugnon, clean sweep of the front row. A big chance for them, almost for Andrei Petrovic to disappear and run away up front and give himself a little bit more breathing space, perhaps with some support from Nacho in the early phase. But let's not forget that both drivers have been swapping and trading fastest sector times and lap times, not just this weekend, but back in Valencia as well. How confident do we think Andrei Petrovic can be when his closest challenger is his teammate? Definitely the question that we're going to be asking ourselves through the broadcast. Noah Montero in 3rd position as well. He's definitely going to be a key player, particularly being here on home soil. We'll catch up with Alex Garcia a little bit later on, because he's obviously on double duty today, because in the F4 Spanish Championship we have broadcasts in English and Spanish. So those whose first language is Spanish, you're welcome to stay here. But of course, if you'd like to have things in your native tongue, you can also choose the Spanish feed broadcast led by David Cristobal. So let's see what the drivers will make of this final race of the weekend. 30 minutes go on the clock, and +1 lap at the end of half an hour. If we get a safety car, we get a safety car. It's as simple as that. The timer will continue to tick down unless we get a red flag, and then the race will be paused in terms of time. That's the only thing that will stop the clock from running. But of course, with this being a 30-minute race, once again, there's 25 points for the win on offer. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. You'll have noticed as well, the keen eyes amongst you, that the Drivex cars look slightly different today. That is because Elliot Kaczynski, who ended up being involved in 2 incidents yesterday, has actually had to borrow one of the spare nose cones that are provided to the championship by the suppliers of the chassis. And that is because clearly the Drivex team have already gone through a couple of front nose sections for Simon Barbarella and Elliot Kaczynski. So a bit of an issue then for the team. They've obviously got to try and continue making things a little bit easier for the contenders without having to cause themselves too much difficulty out on the course. It's not easy, and certainly not what they were hoping for in terms of having to go through things in various degrees. But the Tartus chassis obviously come with a huge number of spare parts at the disposal of the teams, and clearly they didn't have the time to put their own livery stickers on the nose cone section again. So that's why Elliot Kaczynski, the number 44, is running with a black nose cone section on his car. Look at the comments section of the YouTube stream, and you can see that Serbia has turned up in their legion. How about this? Andrej Petrovic on pole position, the senior statesman of the field, the only 20-year-old on the grid. But that comes with a wealth of confidence as well as a wealth of experience, and certainly the Serbian with a great chance to turn this pole position into a victory. Already he's got the 2 bonus points that come with that pole position, so that will certainly hear him good in the championship fight. As it currently stands provisionally, Lyjan has 71, Rocco Coronel has 61, Noel Montero has 59, Shawmans has 47, Alish Pineda has 41 after his brilliant weekend at Valencia, and then Vivek Kanthan is only on 37. He only got a 7th place finish in race 1 yesterday. Nathan Ty up to 37. Ty Fisher on 36. Good score from him so far this weekend. And Petrovic has rocketed straight up to 24 after his 2nd place yesterday and pole position today, with Nacho Tunion in the top 10 of the standings as well on 16. All the way down to 18 drivers who have scored points so far. The other 8 are Jensen Burnett, Elliot Kaczynski, Dan Kelleher, Jakub Mikilev, Philip Karas, Rahim Alibai, Felipe Rice and Jean-Paul Carras. The Carras brothers, actually from Greece, who hold a dual nationality of Greek and French, they actually managed to get themselves up into 9th and 10th in race 1 yesterday after penalties were handed out at the end of race 1. And I'm afraid to say they actually inhibited a couple of the star drivers in the championship fight. It didn't go according to plan at all. Race 1 for Rocco Coronel, who was demoted all the way to 27th at the final reckoning of the race. And there was also a penalty handed out, sadly, to Dan Kelleher, who was judged to be at fault in the incident between himself, Nacho Tunion, and Andrej Petrovic that saw the Serbian roll upside down and out of the race on the final lap. So, sadly, Kelleher lost his 4th place finish. It promoted everybody up one, though, so Ty Fisher came home 4th place for the 3rd time. Nacho Tunion P5, 6th Alish Pineda, 7th Vivek Kanthan, 8th Noel Montero. He was not happy with that. It's the only time all year he hasn't finished 3rd so far. 9th Felipe Carras and 10th Jean-Paul Carras. And that scored him his 1st point of the season. So with all of the contenders getting themselves ready for another exciting bout, here is the starting grid on your screens. You can roll through the punches of all of the drivers. It's going to be a fantastic battle for them all, and they've all got a point to prove here at Portimao, with some big challenges and some big racecraft ahead of them. Trying to make your way through the field in this field of 36 is never easy, and the drivers know exactly what awaits them. Great to see the new faces really acquitting themselves well in this weekend. Andre Rodriguez putting himself on the starting grid fairly good, as well as Daniel Motta. There was a slight issue after the qualifying session, though, for the Japanese driver Yuzuki Sato. Sadly, he has got to start the race from the very back of the grid alongside Pablo Ricabono, who had some problems. So those 2 drivers will now have to fight for this race from the tail end. But you saw the grid there in full. And for Petrovic and Tunion on the front row of the grid, they're going to be charging hard for the top spot. There is the Serbian, fatigued by Amtog. 20 years of age, Andrej Petrovic, flying the flag for Serbia in motorsport. This could be a victorious day. They've certainly had a very strong week in sport in general. They've acquitted themselves well in the international fields of various other athletic disciplines. Certainly it's going to be an interesting one here. And it's a very tricky one for all of the contenders as they try to get themselves back up into position. Sadly, of course, it wasn't exactly what they were hoping for Serbia from Novak Djokovic at Roland Garros. He went out early in the tennis, but Serbia did pick it up and grab a victory in the first game of the Volleyball Nations League earlier this week against Thailand. So certainly Serbia having a mixed week in terms of their sporting credence. But is this going to be a victorious day for Andrej Petrovic? Nashotunian starting second on the grid. There is Noah Montero, hoping for some more silverware on home soil. And there is Casper Schormans, the man who is based just across the border from Karting Genk in Belgium. The Dutchman literally lives a couple of miles down the road, which crosses the border. It's a rather unusual part of Europe that basically crosses the border at a very tight point. One of my favourite parts of the karting fraternity as well. Casper Schormans grew up in Karting Genk, and certainly looking forward to seeing how all of that wealth of knowledge can take him further up the ladder. He's going to have some pressure though, because the MP Motorsport driver is going to have this man hot on his heels. Nathan Tighe, the British driver, continuing a fantastic charge forward. So it's definitely going to be an exciting top six, and particularly with the new championship leader, Boris Leisen, starting from P6 of the grid. It's going to be a fascinating one. Alex, what can you tell us about the atmosphere down the grid? Boris Leisen, of course, is going to be starting from P6, the new championship leader. But surely this is an opportunity knocking for Tico by Amtog. But which of them is going to get the opportunity? Will it be Petrovic or will it be Nashotunian?
They both absolutely want to win it, that's for sure. But I can tell you, Jake, I have been talking to Andrej just before he hopped into the car, and he was just lamenting the lack of luck that he has had this season. He was saying to me, you know we have the speed. We knew we had the speed, and it's a shame because now we're pretty much there, up there with the quickest teams, and we should be fighting for the championship. So I think this shows that he's not just thinking of a race win as an opportunity to do something special once. He's thinking of the bigger picture. And when a driver thinks of the bigger picture, I would say that he's more determined to get that result. Now, maybe he will understand that the bigger picture demands sometimes scoring points even if you cannot win. But I think we've seen so far that Andrej Petrovic, when he's comfortable, he is relentless in the pursuit of that win. So before you ask me, I'll tell you, that's probably my bet for today.
So if it's not going to be one of the drivers on the front row of the grid, I've got a sneaky suspicion that this could be a really strong day for Casper Schormans. Second row of the grid from the rookie alongside Noah Montero. And he really has been putting on a show as the green flag flies and we go around for the formation lap. He seems to have found a really consistent turn of pace and metronomic speed. He's really, really strong at the moment. So this could be a good one for him. We've got the Monlau Competition car of Kazuki Sato in pit road. He's going to be starting the race from the pit lane, very unfortunately for the Japanese driver. Final word before the start of the race though, Alex. I think there's a lot of pressure on the drivers around the top five. You've got Montero, Tighe, Leisen, Coronel down in P8, Canthan down in P11. So many drivers that really want to use this final race of the weekend to kick on before Aragon.
Exactly, and you have to consider, Jake, this is very, very important. The conditions that we have seen today, they are going to be more or less what we can expect in 2 weeks in Aragon and going into the summer. So the teams that are performing well here, they have a good idea of, at least in terms of tire management, what they need to do to be competitive. Perhaps more so than what we saw in the first round of the season in Cheste in Valencia, which is of course a much more twisty circuit and in much cooler temperatures. So these teams that are higher up today, they could be higher, they could be happier with the performance. Those drivers in the top 5 of the championship who are not necessarily so high up the grid today, they could start getting a little bit worried. And I would if I were in their shoes, that's for sure.
Well, the stage is definitely set for a fantastic crescendo to the weekend, Alex. Stand by, we may well need you over the course of the last race of the weekend for the F4 Spanish drivers. So on the formation lap, the drivers are already warming up the tyres and brakes to the optimum temperature. Let's see what we're going to get out of this flamboyant race battle. 36 drivers, 35 of them will go from the grid. The last of those, Yuzuki Sato, will start from pit road. But it's Andrei Petrovic from Nacho Tunion, Noah Montero and Kasper Schauman's on the second row. Then Nathan Ty and Boris Leisen, the new championship leader. Ty Fischer and Rocco Coronel, the former championship leader. Simon Bolbarella in the top 10, along with Jakob Mikilev, the Maltese. And then Vivek Kanthan and Dan Kelleher on the sixth row of the grid. Jensen Burnett of Canada and Elliot Kaczynski of Sweden. Then Alish Biniera and Felipe Rice, Max Redek, the local man, and Zoe Florescu, the ever-impressive Romanian. And then we've got Miki Blashkos and Luna Flusha from Fausto Arnaudo and Sebastian Frigolet. The Carras twins are on the 12th row of the grid, Jean-Paul ahead of Philippe. And then Daniel Motta, Rahim Alibai, Andre Rodriguez, Louis Cochet, Maria Neto, Alphonse Mittenen, Boloet, Jordan Moodley, Sam Urus, Rodrigo Martinez, Pablo de Cabono, who failed to set a time in qualifying, and Yuzuki Sato, who will start from the pit lane. So let's see what the 30 minutes plus one lap will give us on one of the best racing circuits in Europe, if not the world. And certainly, for my money, all of the great motorsport I've commentated on here at Portimao over the last decade and a half, this track is up there with the Spas, Nürburgrings, Long Beaches, and Bathursts of this world. It is one of the most exciting race circuits on the planet. And for the F4 Spanish drivers, a perfect proving ground to see which drivers will go on to have amazing futures in this sport. So the last couple of cars get themselves into position. Petrovic and Tunion eclipsing the front row of the grid. Yuzuki Sato going to the end of the pit lane, preparing himself for a pit lane start. And for the last time this weekend at Portimao, it's time to see what the F4 Spanish drivers will give us. Let's race one more time at Portimao. Petrovic and Tunion getting a good start, and a Petrovic sweep across his teammate, holds on to the lead on the way to the first corner. Big start from Montero on the far side. He could get the lead here. Round the outside, Ty goes wide as well. He goes onto the runoff area, manages to catch it back on the circuit before losing too many places, but it is Petrovic. Round the outside comes Schauman's, trying to get through on Tunion, and a spin from Ty. Ty spins in the middle, and it's absolute disaster for everybody, trying to take avoiding action from the Englishman, who is beached in the gravel. Nathan Ty's going nowhere. Big disaster for the Sheffield Flyer. As round the outside, Montero is trying to get back into second place on Nacho Tunion, and he will not let him have it. Yellow flag at turn 3. We know that there is a beached car in there. Safety car is called. There was no way we were getting away without a safety car once we knew that Nathan Ty was beached in the gravel. Catastrophic for Nathan Ty. No more points this weekend, and that is such a shame for the Drivex driver. So Petrovic, Tunion, Montero and Schauman's from Fischer, and Vivek Kanthan. That is astonishing from the American. Vivek Kanthan up 5 places in one sector. 7th for Leisen, 8th for Coronel, 9th for Burnett, and the final point currently still with Jakob Mikilev. Wow, what a crazy start to this race, and I'm afraid Nathan Ty out at turn 3. We're not entirely sure who was the instigator of the incident, but it matters nothing at all to Nathan Ty. He couldn't care less who was the instigator. The result is still the same, and he's out. So now we're going to see how things are currently progressing. We've got Andrei Petrovic leading the way from Nacho Tunion, and then Montero, Schauman's, Fischer, Kanthan and Boris Leisen ahead of Rocco Coronel. We got very, very lucky there, to be fair. And as Mark Tucker points out, he was surprised there weren't more drivers involved. So, very difficult moment indeed for the competitors, and great reactions from them all to avoid the incident. Boris Leisen's pitted. The championship leader has come into the pits. So Boris Leisen has clearly picked up some damage somewhere, and that's a big problem for the pole. We may need to get Alex Garcia down on the scene to see what's happened to the KCL driver, but it's absolutely catastrophic for Boris Leisen. No more points this weekend for him either, by the look of it. There's a long way to go, of course. Still 27 minutes left of this race, but there is Nathan Tighe. His car stranded at turn 3, and he can't get a car moving again. But he is assisting the marshals in getting the car out of harm's way. I think he has already assisted the marshals by making sure the steering wheel was in the car. Let's have another look at it. We're going to see the start first of all. Look at this from Petrovic. That is asserting his authority. You are not having the lead, Nacho. Look, we're buddies, we're mates. But I'm going to have this. And Kasper Schürmann's allowed the move to come through on the inside. Montero and Tighe round the outside. Tighe actually had a crazy opening sector. Round the outside at turn 1 and 2. And then into turn 3. Was there contact with Leijzen? I think there might have been. That might have been what caused the front wing damage to Leijzen. And then Nathan Tighe going around the outside. We're going to see again. That was really authoritarian tactics from Andrej Petrovic. No worries at all and perfectly legal. But Tighe holding it round the outside. We're going to see from above. Is there contact from Leijzen? Yes, there is. Leijzen on the curb. And unfortunately, he pitches Nathan Tighe around. And there was another car caught up in the middle of all of that got held up. Ironically enough, it was his own teammate, Elliot Kaczynski, who initially had a great start. Here's the contact, bang! And around he goes, Kaczynski. That is so irritating for Elliot Kaczynski and Simon Bolbarella. The teammates have absolutely nowhere to go. It was Simon Bolbarella that was really held up. He's the one that drops to the very back of the field, and he came into the pits himself as well. So, an absolute heartbreaker for the Drivex team. All 3 cars off the road at turn 3. Bolbarella held up by his own teammate getting spun. And then, unfortunately for Elliot Kaczynski, he got to take avoiding action. Alex Garcia is down in pit lane after all of the shenanigans. Boris Leijzen came into the pits. So too did Simon Bolbarella. What can you tell us, buddy?
Hi Jake, I was just coming to quickly report that we did see Boris Leijzen, of course, making his pit stop. And as you can see behind me, Simon Bolbarella, unfortunately the damage has been considered to be too much to continue in the race, so we do have a retirement from the Argentine.
So that's 2 out of the 3 Drivex drivers already gone from this race. Kaczynski way down the order. It couldn't have been more catastrophic for the Drivex team, Alex. This has also given a bit of a headache for a couple of the drivers in the field who lost a lot of ground, but for Vivek Kanthan, he's right back into this one. A fantastic start from 11th to 6th.
That is a fantastic start from Vivek Kanthan, that's for sure. I was watching at the Drivex bad fortune, and I am reminded of GRS yesterday, so it seems like Portimao has been specifically cruel on each of the days to one of the teams. It's unfortunate because you never like to see a team having so much misfortune to all of their drivers.
No, indeed, Alex. Gracias, mi amigo. Stand by. We may well need you again. So, with the T-Code boys likely to lead off fairly rapidly from the restart, I would have guessed that this is probably going to be the lap we go racing again. So certainly a very interesting situation. A lot of debate about that incident. We saw the replay of it, of course. And Shrek Pigado pointing out, car stopped very close to the track. It won't be a red flag, it will be a safety car. Mr. Rashi wants to point out, Leijzen not out, but broken front wing. Part of the wing was under the car, says William Vale. Chassis has some damages for sure. So, yeah, everybody able to pick up on the situation. Red flag! Red flag has been called. Well, that is unusual considering the lack of severity of the incident, but they've actually decided to throw the red flag. Well, that is a very bizarre twist of fate. Clearly there is another incident somewhere around the course, or there is another mitigating circumstance that means it's going to take a bit longer for the car to be moved or for the positions to be reset. That is so unusual in an incident like that. So it looks to me as though we're going to have a red flag then, and the race will be stopped. The cars will be brought back into the pits on the 3rd lap. And, well, I genuinely wasn't expecting that one, to be honest. I thought we were going to have a fairly decent run and then go straight back to green racing, but clearly something else is going on that we didn't spot. And so they've decided, the officials, to red flag the race. I'm not entirely sure what the reason for that is. Maybe Alex Garcia can get a little bit of an understanding and a bit of an update from the powers that be, and we'll find out the reason for this red flag, because it looked to me as though the clean-up was fairly straightforward for that particular car of Nathan Tighe's, but apparently not. Something else has occurred, and we've only got 3 drivers out of the race already. Pablo Riccobono out of the race, Nathan Tighe out, and Simon Bolborera pitting and parking out as well. But a very strange turn of events. I wasn't expecting that one, and I don't think any of you were either. But Petrovic will lead them on the restart when we get one from Tunion, Montero, Shormans and Ty Fisher. And I should point out as well, we already made this point yesterday, but it's worth reflecting. I wouldn't worry too much about the timing of things because we don't have any support races on the bill this weekend. We have the Portimao as our playground to ourselves. And so the drivers will not have to concern themselves too much with the delays. So a very interesting one, but certainly the decision made by race control that we're going to stop the race and allow the officials and the marshals to assess the situation with a little bit more clarity, with a little bit less rushing, and we'll figure out what the score is. If we get an indication as to why the race was red flagged, we'll let you know. But certainly at the moment, a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting the race to be stopped for something as mundane as a beached car at turn 3, because the officials and the marshals here are very quick at getting the incident cleared. So clearly something is not quite right. We'll understand and get a bit of an update on that as soon as possible. Certainly for the moment, though, it's still looking pretty rosy for the T-Code squad. And it's as we started in the top 4, Petrovic, Tunion, Montero and Shormans. Everything behind them, though, is different, and it couldn't be more different. We've got Fisher in P5, Canthan in P6. What a start from him. Rocco Coronel, P7. Jensen Burnett is P8. Jacob Mikulev is 9th. And Max Radek on his home circuit is in P10. So the Portuguese driver with a chance to score a point here in front of his home crowd. Miki Blaskos, 11th place. Zoe Florescu, great start from her, up to P12 from P19. Lightning reactions from the Romanian. And that will definitely be based on her time in the gearbox categories of karting. I've always said to any racing drivers, if you're serious about a career in motorsport and you're a kart racer, you've got to spend at least a year in the gearbox categories. And she's one of the only women I know to have done so in recent years. So Zoe definitely got her eyes on the prize. There is another woman with her eyes on the prize, Luna Flusha. She's actually being told you can get out of the car if you want. So Luna Flusha steps out of the Campos. I wonder if they've got an issue with the car. Maybe there's an issue with the seat belts. Something not quite right for Luna Flusha, and they're going to try and figure out what the situation is. She looks like she's in some discomfort, actually. Well, there is the car recovering and cleaning the debris around the circuit. I wonder if that's the reason, actually. Maybe there's so much debris littered around 2 or 3 corners of the circuit that it was actually more dangerous for the drivers to go racing again when you've got so many pieces of gravel and bodywork all over the circuit. It just makes a bit more sense. Now that we've got the circuit to ourselves, we may as well use it to have a clean and clear race circuit. So let's actually sweep the circuit and make it properly clear. And as Vinny Arnau, my dear friend and photographer, points out, there are a lot of rocks here at Portimao, and if you get lodged offline, they're pretty big and pretty chunky, so it looks as though quite a lot of the circuit... Yeah, you can actually see it on the live stream. You can see the sweeper is going to work, and look at the size of the gravel rocks that have been left around the circuit. That's why the race has been red flagged. You've got to remember these guys are 15, 16, 17 years of age. A lot of debris has come onto the circuit, and it just makes more sense to be cautious. You may be thinking, well, hang on a minute, these are racing drivers. That's what they do. Surely they can cope with this. Well, yeah, when they're Formula One drivers, of course you can put these guys into hot water, and that's what they're paid for. But at this level, none of the drivers are paid. They are paying to do this. They are doing their best. They are learning. They are getting themselves educated. And a little bit of duty of care doesn't go amiss in these situations. So it just looks to me as though the track was too heavily ridden with gravel, and the drivers are obviously at risk, so the officials thought, do you know what? We're not putting them under that kind of undue risk. When we can clear the circuit, we've got all day, let's use it. So actually, now that I've understood the context of the circumstances, fair play to the officials. You could have let that race go on, and we could have had a string of punctures that would have ruined the good quality of the racing that we have here at Portimao. And fair play to the officials saying, nope, we're not going to go for that. That's not how we go racing. We'll clear the circuit, we'll red flag it, we'll let the drivers cool down a bit, and then we'll give them a clear race circuit to play with. Good job. So let's head down to the pit lane. Alex Garcia is there, and I wonder if he's going to basically reiterate my point. The race red flagged, but it looks as though a bit of a clean-up job was needed at turn 3.
Exactly, Jake, and let me tell you, just as I was about to tell you that this is exactly what's going on, and they have been making this decision, same logic, same rationale as yesterday. I had one of the race directors just look at me, walk past me, and he just made this with his hand. 5 minutes and we're back on track. So this is literally just been relayed to me 10-15 seconds ago. So that's the news. 5 minutes we'll be back on track. And as you were saying, it's just to clean up the track to make sure that we have as many laps as possible of green flag conditions.
It's really important that we reiterate that, you know, there is a duty of care with the drivers that we have here. They are 15, 16, 17 years of age. And I think a lot of people forget that you're not at a professional level of racing just yet. You're still in your education phase in F4. You're still learning. This is your first or second season out of karting. And as much as we want to keep the racing flowing like you would in IndyCar or Le Mans or Formula One, it's very important to remember that these are teenagers. They've got to learn the best way possible. And we, as a sport, have a duty of care to them.
Exactly, Jake. I mean, it is very easy to forget sometimes because they behave themselves with such composure and such poise that you just forget that they're just teenagers doing their first steps into motorsport or at least into car racing after being in karting. But as you said, this is all about learning all the processes, keeping them safe as well. That's very important, and making sure that everyone stays on track as much as possible. So luckily, drivers have been doing a good job this weekend, outside of 2 or 3 specific moments, and I'm sure that they'll continue to do so for the remainder of the race.
Gracias, Alex. Thank you very much, buddy. So, yeah, the race obviously stopped due to the clean-up job that was happening at turn 3. Great to get your comments on the way by the live stream. Do keep them coming. We love hearing from you all. Interestingly, we've got racing driver Ben Yuing has actually been watching along. Red flag gives more racing time than a safety car does. Very good point as well. That's another good reason for stopping the race, because you actually get more green flag running with a red flag than you do with a safety car. Very, very good point. Vinny are now pointing out the track now is pretty clear, so won't take long. William Vale hopes for another standing start. Sadly, mate, I'm afraid that's not in our regulations. That's a Formula One regulation as far as I can remember. But in F4, it's rolling start once the race has already started, no matter what the scenario is. We don't get a standing start, sadly. El Payer says, kind of makes sense. We only have just the one race to go afterwards, so you might as well take your time and get the job done quickly. Yes, very good point, mate. Well done. Well reiterated. Do keep those messages and your comments coming. Great to have your participation in the feed as well. It's very important that the drivers know they've got people supporting them all the way. 5 minutes board will be shown at 11:22. That's in a little under 90 seconds time. I really do feel for those guys in the grandstands without umbrellas, because the heat gets very intense here. It's kind of in the middle of a sun trap, and this is definitely going to be a very tricky restart for the drivers. It's also going to be a tough one to watch for the spectators, because there's not a lot of shade here at Portimao. We're right in the middle of open air. It's quite high up as well. It's fairly decent elevation. We're not talking same sort of elevation status as places like Interlagos or LYL in Malaysia, but even so, it's not exactly sea level here. You do have to climb a few hills to get to the Portimao circuit. It's one of my favorite drives to a race circuit, actually, from the airport. You get a few places that just suddenly appear over the horizon, and this one doesn't even appear until you actually go through the gate itself, pretty much. It's kind of hidden away in the hills and the mountains. It's a fabulous race circuit. It's a tough one for people to get to, but you know what? It's one of the most rewarding to arrive at. So sadly now, all of the hopes of the DrivX team are on that man's shoulders, Elliot Kaczynski, and he's down in 28th position. You've got to feel for the team. 3 cars started the race. 1 is going to complete it if they manage to complete it. And we've got 21 minutes to go. Bit of a disastrous race for the Drivex team. So good to see how everybody continues on. Flattery will get you everywhere, Stephen. He points out the commentary is pretty good, but he also says such a great class and organisation. Yes, I won't hear a word against the guys putting the driver's safety first. Vignard now pointing out, remember that these rocks almost got Jorge Martin into a lot of trouble and has left motorcycle riders with lifetime injuries because the rocks are quite uneven. So why would you put teenagers at undue risk for the sake of entertainment? I completely agree. 5 minutes board goes up then, and we're going to get this race underway once again in a safe and very proper manner so that the drivers can continue their racing education. Always fascinates me to watch F4, perhaps even more so than modern Grand Prix level now, because there's nothing like watching drivers in equal machinery figure out how to get the job done. It's like watching a hungry man try and break into a fridge. You suddenly realize how to go racing, and it suddenly clicks. It's like a light bulb in the back of the brain. The driver figures out, oh, that's how I'm supposed to drive. That's how I'm supposed to race. And then it suddenly clicks. And at each stage of their development, once they go from F4 to Euro Cup 3, when they go from Euro Cup 3 to the Grand Prix paddock, at every stage up the development, you see at certain points in the season that light switch click at the back of the brain. And I always find it really fascinating to watch these drivers at their development phase. It puts a lot of pressure on the drivers, of course, because unlike any other form of sport, these guys are broadcast live in their teens before they're even in Formula One. It's not like in the Premiership where a lot of the lower league junior academy battles and all of the junior tournaments in tennis and all that are never broadcasted, whereas in motor racing, pretty much everything is broadcasted these days. Kind of has to be to justify the intense expense of the sport. How else will the sponsors get their value? So it's a very tricky move up the ladder, but it's always wonderful. A nice but weird name points out, Portimao doesn't disappoint. I have yet to see, I've been commentating for 15 years, folks, and I have yet to see a dull race at Portimao. That's pretty impressive when you consider. And the amount of races that I've seen in multiple different classes, in single-seaters, in GTs, in vintage cars, and even karting just over the road, I've yet to see a difficult race or a boring race at Portimao. You always get excitement on this fantastic facility. Do keep your messages and your comments coming in on the live stream. It's always great to hear from you. And of course, give me and Alex Garcia a follow, and we'll give you lots of nuggets of information through the season as we continue our journey through the F4 Spanish Championship and Euro Cup 3, of course, which is going to be taking place just after this race, the second and final race of their weekend. No spoilers, but the starting grid is going to be very impressive indeed. We've got Dan Merkikez pointing out on the stream that cars can launch over rocks, and they can actually pitch the rocks themselves and hit drivers. Even in F1, that's happened. He thinks that Bottas was hit in the hand once by that. Yes, it does happen. So why risk it happening again? Very good point. Stephen says, do the safety car laps count? Yesterday, I said that the red flag within 2 laps is a restart in the original formation. I actually went and had a look at the regulations because I knew this was going to come up, Stephen, and I'm glad you pointed it out. The safety car laps do indeed count in F4. So in the regulations, even if you run races behind the safety car and the race red flags on the 3rd lap, if 2 of those laps have been under safety car, it still counts as a racing lap. So there's no point. We can't do a full restart, as it were. So you do have to restart the race, behind the safety car again. I actually went and had a look at the regulations just in case this came up again to make sure that I wasn't talking gobbledygook yesterday. But you're absolutely right to make a point of it, Stephen, because in some championships, the safety car laps don't count. In F4, they do. So that does obviously get added to it. So that's an important point, and well done for making it. Vignard now also pointing out the track didn't have 2 corners full of rocks in the racing tarmac. Yes, very good point as well. 1 minute board goes up, and the remaining 33 drivers from around the world, never mind this being a Spanish championship anymore, it's an international one. The remaining 33 drivers are going to continue their journey, and guess who's in dead last? Boris Leisen, after his trip to the pit stops, right from the back of the grid. My goodness me. David French pointing out that a similar incident with the gravel and rocks. He can remember when Rubens Barrichello got into hot water with his best mate Felipe Massa when a bolt fell from his car and it hit Massa square in the helmet. It did indeed, yes. If you watch the Brawn GP documentary on Disney Plus in Europe, that goes into some detail about that. I remember watching that on television as a fan before I was a commentator, and yeah, that was very nasty indeed. And yes, the rocks here can be very big, so there's no reason why that couldn't cause a problem again. So well done to the officials for eradicating that risk. Here we go then. The yellow flag waves at the end of the pit lane. The clock has restarted, and so we can continue going. Good to see everybody in good proximity as they run again. Loving the messages coming through. Great to hear you, Jake says. Karting Mania, big love from Theo, Mary and Dino. Oh, it's always lovely to hear from the Makuris family. Hope you're all well, guys. I know that motorsport still runs in the veins, very thick and very fast indeed. Next time I'm in the UK, let's have a nudge. Let's go and have a drink somewhere. That'll be lovely. So Andrei Petrovic and Nacho Tunion lead the field around on the first lap of the restart. Of course, this will count as a racing lap, but it is under safety car proceedings. Let's hope only one safety car lap, says Mr. Rashi. To be fair, it was only one lap yesterday. That doesn't mean it will be one lap today, but it was only one lap behind the safety car off the restart of the red flag yesterday. So I would be quietly confident that it will be only one lap today. But I've been wrong before, so if I am wrong, it's me you can throw under the bus. Don't worry. Fortunately, us commentators can have fairly thick skins. 20 minutes to go then, and when the race gets restarted again, it's going to be the Serbian Andrei Petrovic all the way, and after his vapid pace yesterday, it's going to be a very foolish man that bets against him going for the victory in this one. Whether he can win it or not, well, that's down to his teammate Nacho Tunion and the Portuguese talent Noah Monteiro on home soil. If they can get into the toe early on and not let him get away, then there is a decent chance. The toe is massive here at Portimao. We saw that yesterday. We've been told it is going to be 2 laps with the safety car. Now, that is for a safety procedure, essentially. They have swept the circuit, but they just want to be on the safe side, and they have decided to give us 2 laps under safety car under the circumstances. Again, as frustrating as that might be for you as the viewer, think about the driver, think about the safety of the teams and the races and the people involved. As well, think about the safety of the marshals. I think a lot of people forget that, but they're putting themselves into harm's way. And it's very important that we also have a duty of care, not just to the competitors and the engineers and the officials, but to the marshals as well. They have obviously given up their free time to allow this race to go ahead. And while it is a very tough job, there's certainly nowhere near as much red tape and as protocol and as much training as there is in Formula One. So the marshals definitely have a very tough job at F4 level. There are certainly not as many marshals for a race weekend in the feeder series categories as there are for Grand Prix racing. So they do have a lot more work on their plate over the course of a race than even the F1 driver marshals do. So it's all part of racing, and we will go racing at the end of lap 5, providing there is not going to be any difficulties for the contenders behind safety car. We've seen that before. We actually saw it yesterday in race 2. We had a safety car procedure, and then all of a sudden, Pablo Riccobono and Yuzuki Sato ended up parked inside each other almost. The front nose of Yuzuki Sato's car was practically wedged in the rear wing of Riccobono's car, and they were parked in the white divider between the pit lane exit and the main straight. One of the most bizarre incidents I've ever seen in the F4 Spanish Championship, and I didn't even see it because I only saw the aftermath. I didn't see what caused it. So all of the competitors getting ready. 33 of them will take the restart. 3 of them out of the race already. Pablo Riccobono of Spain, Nathan Ty of Great Britain sadly out of the race, as too is the Argentine Simon Bolbarella. 2 of the Drivex 3 are already on the sidelines, and so is the GRS of Riccobono. Very unfortunate indeed for the GRS team, who have had the worst possible weekend. Safety car in this lap. So we're going to go back to race trim here at Portimao for round 2, race 3 of the F4 Spanish Championship 2026. There is the championship leader, Boris Schleisen, at the back of the field after his love tap with Nathan Ty. I think the British driver might feel just a little hint of punishment fits the crime there, but it certainly doesn't help all of the Polish fans watching along at home, hoping that Boris Leisen is going to extend his championship lead to Rocco Coronel and Noah Montero. There's a genuine chance that Noah Montero could take the lead of the championship back here if he finishes third, with Coronel down in seventh and Leisen out of the points. But the man at the front is Andrej Petrovic, the Serbian. Can he carry the hopes of the Serbian motorsport fraternity? Difficult weeks at Roland Garros in tennis, with Novak Djokovic not making it through, and a victorious one for the volleyball team from Serbia as they defeated 2 of their 3 teams this week in the first week of the Volleyball Nations League. Is this going to be a victorious one for the motorsport fans? Andrej Petrovic drops the hammer. Down the crest he goes. He'll kick back up the climb onto the main straight. And now comes the toe as we go racing again. Green, 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 green here at Portimao into lap 6. And already attack from Rocco Coronel. He's going to go straight into Ty Fisher and Vivek Kanthan on the attack. And look who's pushing, Noah Montero. Going for Nasho Tunion round the outside. Coronel's going to split the Griffin cause, and he does so. He's got past Kanthan, but he's still got Ty Fisher to go for. Up to the hairpin. Tunion on the inside of Montero. Fisher holds his line on Coronel. Kanthan still present round the outside, and they go up the crest at turn 4. Back straight. Up through the gears. Looking for the toe. Noah Montero trying to take on Nasho Tunion. Shawmans fancies it in 4th place as well. But Andrej Petrovic has the perfect start, and he has got himself the advantage he wanted. 7/10 of a second over his teammate already. And it could well end this way, looking at the pace that we had from Andrej Petrovic yesterday. Ended race 1 upside down after a collision between Dan Kelleher and Nasho Tunion. Side by side, the teammates. And that is a beautifully bold move by Jakub Mikulev. He gets through on Vivek Kanthan. I don't care if you are my teammate. I've got the move. It's mine. Thank you. And now Miki Blaszkos fancies a chance on Vivek Kanthan. That's the man who won at Paul Ricard. And Miki Blaszkos fancies it. That'll do nicely. Shut him down on the exit. Oh, Kanthan is squeezed by Miki Blaszkos, who is asserting himself here at Portimao. Good run from Blaszkos. And now Burnett with a chance. So we'll see who's going to get the run of it going into lap number 7. But certainly Blaszkos on the move. Kanthan's gone backwards. There goes the chance for Jensen Burnett. He's going to make his move on the inside line. The Canadian wanting to get through on the inside of Miki Blaszkos has to bail out. That could give a chance to Kanthan. We're going to see 3 wide across the line here. Blaszkos, Burnett and Kanthan. And watch out, because we've got Radek and Zoe Florescu moving forward. You've really got to pitch your moment carefully here. Florescu trying to move her way forward. And up the inside, that is a good move on Kasper Schaumanns from Ty Fisher. The youngest man in the field is up to 4th position. And Coronel now fancies a chance on Schaumanns. Racing everywhere you look for the positions. Portimao is just the place to race. So down the crest again to the back straight. And Tunion's actually keeping up with Petrovic. He's not letting him get away. Fisher pulls across. Keeps Schaumanns, Coronel and Mikulev honest. Blaszkos, Radek and Kanthan, Burnett, Karas and Zoe Florescu. Jean-Paul Karas is up to 15th. Good recovery from the Greek. Behind Sebastian Frigolet, in front of Felipe Rice. And Boris Leisen is going through the field like wildfire. He's up to 26th already. That's 7 places made up in 1 lap from the pole. But out in front, Andrej Petrovic has the lead. So this is a fantastic run. Love it from Milos Marjanovic. We only need a Serbian to be good at Formula 1, and we've got a king in pretty much every sport. So true, actually. Serbia has a great sporting reputation, a fantastic international pedigree, and it's about time they had a Formula 1 star. This one could be the one. Fastest lap of the race for Petrovic last time round on a 1:47.2, but his teammate Tunion so much quicker on this lap. And he's able to get into the toe. Now, if he's got a good enough toe, then it could be the T-Code teammates that battle for position. Here we go. Nasho Tunion's got the toe, and he's going to go for it. 12.5 minutes to go. And these guys may be teammates, but they're going to be racing for it. Tunion decides to wait, though. He's got plenty of time. He wants to let Petrovic wear himself out. Round the outside, that's going to be Mikulev on Coronel. Not this time, buddy. Jakub Mikulev had to think about it on Rocco Coronel and then decided not just yet. Meanwhile, on the inside, that is going to be a big dive on the inside from Max Radek. and the DXR driver makes it. Great racing from Max Radek on home soil as well. And that moves him up another place. So Max Radek into 9th position now, getting ahead of Vivek Kanthan. Coronel and Mikilev. The Netherlands versus Malta as they go up the climb. 8th position for Blaskos, 9th is Radek, 10th is Kanthan. That's the last championship point, 10th place. Still good battles all around. It's nice and clean this time. Bodish Lysen still P26. The next driver he's got to try and overtake is Luna Flusha, who's not had the weekend she had back in the Winter Championship. She was 2nd in the 2nd race. So very difficult to see whether Bodish Lysen is going to be able to move forward. So far, so good. Tunion still putting Petrovic under pressure. This isn't like Formula One. The teammates don't have any team orders of any kind. They'll just go racing, and if they hit each other, well, they'll get a dressing down from the team owners. But this is nothing like Grand Prix racing. They both want to make their way, move further forward. Real Soup says Senna versus Prost for P1. Well, very nearly. Aranazinga wants to know, is Montero the son of Tiago? He certainly is. Noah Montero, 3rd position on home soil, looking for another podium. And look at Rocco Coronel trying to defend and keep Jakub Mikilev at bay. Mikilev trying to come right on the outside. Mikilev's going to hold it. Is that going to be enough from the Maltese? He drifts out wide, but he's going to try and cut back in while leaving Rocco Coronel the space. Oh, the Dutchman asserts himself. From one Dutchman in a Red Bull-coloured car to another. Rocco Coronel clearly taking a play out of the Max Verstappen copybook and doing a fantastic job. Down to the braking zone again. And so far, Jakub Mikilev really is making Rocco Coronel work for it. This is a turning point weekend for Jakub Mikilev. Certainly the Maltese is going much stronger here, and hopefully this is going to be the catalyst that puts him into the top 10 more regularly. Certainly found some very tough days in the karting world. Jonathan Dorco wants to know, is Rocco Coronel any relation to Tom? He certainly is. He's his son. And in fact, Tim Coronel is his uncle. And of course, Pauline Schwartz is also part of the family. Pauline Schwartz is his mother. To the inside line. Rocco Coronel really having to defend himself here because Jakub Mikilev is not giving him any respite. Look at the travel of the back axle through that apex as he kicks out from the outside to the inside. Big slide from Rocco Coronel. And so now they'll continue to push their way forward. Even Croatia is getting behind Andrej Petrovic in the lead of this one. They know that the Baltics could do with a decent Formula start. Look at this, Nacho Tunion really putting Petrovic under pressure. He keeps close to him, but I think he's working the karting tactic. He's just going away with his teammate, and they are not going to have the battle until the last couple of laps. That's how they used to do it in karting. Always the way in the junior categories and the senior categories of karting. Just pull away. Let the rest of the field scrap for the low positions. Tunion shows his flair to the inside. Petrovic strips out wide. Is that going to be enough for Tunion to take the lead? Oh, big dive from Mikilev. Mikilev goes for it, and Coronel, can he tidy it up on the exit though? So we've got 2 potential changes. Tunion has gone into the lead. Nacho Tunion did get past his teammate. So Nacho Tunion leads here at Portimao. He's got in front of his teammate Andrej Petrovic. Fabulous run. And now, for the first time this season, Nacho Tunion hits the front. Fabulous racer. Oh, we got yellow flags. Somebody's had an incident somewhere. Trying to make out where on the circuit it is. We've got a couple of drivers falling down the order. I wonder if Zoe Florescu's got into hot water. No, she's got through Sector 2 cleanly. It's Rodriguez and Mietonen, the GRS teammates, safety car. It looks as though we've had a big problem for the GRS teammates, Rodriguez and Mietonen. So safety car is called with Nacho Tunion in the lead in front of his teammate Andrej Petrovic. Well, looks to me as though the GRS boys are very much in hot water. T-Code will have told the team, the two drivers, look, you can race each other, just don't take each other out. Perhaps that message hasn't quite filtered across the GRS, because Riccoboni was already out of the race, and now Rodriguez and Mittinen have tangled. Rodriguez has got going again. Mittinen has not. There is Alfons Mittinen. What a weekend for the Finn. I think the term write-off springs to mind. Walks away from his car, and he doesn't want any part of this weekend anymore. I think he wants an early flight. But incredibly, look at that, the safety team are already on the scene. These guys are fantastic at Portimao. They are so good, so quick on the uptake. And so, Alfons Mittinen is going to be recovered. That's going to be put behind the marshal post, and we could only be behind the safety car for a grand total of a lap. They cut through on the FIM layout, the motorcycle layout, and the marshals are already putting that car behind the barriers. So I think we're going to be in for another restart here. Just going through the messages on the stream, so much support for Mikelev, for Petrovic, for Montero, for Rocco Coronel. So many great battles. Shrek Bogado pointing out the Portuguese safety team are so kick. Clearly I'm not down enough with the kids to know what that means, but I can tell you that the safety car is in this lap. There you go. One lap is needed. Gotta love the Marshall teams at Portimao. They are so quick at getting these cars recovered. And so it's up to Nacho Tunion to get the restart. Let's see what Nacho Tunion will do under pressure from his teammate. Petrovic will love being the chaser. He's so good at it. Oh, we got a replay. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. Ah, it's a spin from Mittinen. So Mittinen, oh, that's so unfortunate. It wasn't his, it was his teammate that spun. It was Rodriguez that spun, and Mittinen had nowhere to go but into him. Gotta feel for Alfons Mittinen. Completely blameless in that incident. Well, at least now we know. So, a very difficult weekend for the GRS team, but it could be a victorious one for T-Code as Nacho Tunion waits to pick up the toe. Has he got on the throttle? Yes, he's launched. And so we remove the safety car from the action, and with 4 minutes left on the clock, it's green once again here at Portimao. And Rocco Coronel's going at it once more. This time, he's going to try and make his way past Kasper Schormans. To the inside, Petrovic and Tunion side by side for the lead. Petrovic can't quite get around his Spanish teammate as Schormans has gone into 4th place past Ty Fischer. Great start from the Dutchman. Kasper Schormans into P4, now he'll take on Noah Montero, and things are getting frenetic further back. But Nacho Tunion holds his line, and he leads the way for the moment. Fantastic racing. Excellent performance as up the inside again, covering the line. Montero holds Schormans to ransom. Bit of a tough break to the inside line. Everybody trying to keep it clean. Don't drive into each other now, guys. We want this to finish under green flag conditions, please. But it's certainly going well for Nacho Tunion, who is leading comfortably. Petrovic behind him. Montero in 3rd. Nacho Tunion has had a bit of a build-up to get to this point, and it finally looks as though this is going to be his time in the sunshine. He's certainly had a very tough mission to get to this point. Nacho Tunion, 8th, 5th and 7th in the races so far, has yet to even finish on the podium in 2026 in the F4 Spanish Championship. So now it looks as though he's going to go to the top step. Problems in that run for Bolavet as well. He has dropped to the back of the field, sadly, for the Thibaut Courtois racing team. And yes, that is the team named after the ex-Belgian national football goalkeeper. Tunion, Petrovic, Montero. 2 minutes 15 on the clock. If we stay green, we've got 3 laps to go. So Kasper Schormans really under pressure. Here's Rocco Coronel. Working hard again to get past Jakub Mikelev. These two have been joined at the hip since the start. Mikelev will not relinquish it though. Good defence from the Maltese. Jacob Mikilev not going to be intimidated by Rocco Coronel at all. Yellow flags, but will that turn into anything? Yellow flag at turn 1. Whoa! Off has gone Jean-Paul Carras. And I think it was his brother he was battling with at the time. Boris Leisen was trying to overtake him. Big damage. And off has gone Jean-Paul Carras. He's gone a long way in that first turn. Gravel trap. But is that going to be enough for a safety car? So, difficult to know how things are going to cope. It is safety car. What a shame. What a shame. That race was getting really hungry at the front end of the field. And sadly, Jean-Paul Carras's retirement has put us under safety car, and that's how we're going to end it. Well, unfortunately, not every race battle can end with a decent one. Let's see what happened. Oh, Jean-Paul Carras. It looks as though there might have been some contact prior to that to put him there, or was it a... Well, I want to have another look at it. Fortunately, I've got access to the monitor in front of me to see what happened. Oh, it looks like he lost it on his own. It looks like he's picked up damage and skated off the road on his own. So I'm afraid for Jean-Paul Carras, there was no contact on that part of the course. Well, Nacho Tunion. Now, Nacho Tunion, if he gets across the line in the next 15 seconds, and there's only one lap of safety car, we could have a green flag. Nacho, let's see if he can get across the line, mate. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Yes! He's across the line. So, if we only get one lap of safety car, this race will end under green. So, Shrek Bogado hoping for one last full push lap. We may just get it. It just depends on how quickly they can recover Jean-Paul Carras's car, and they're already doing so in the gravel trap. So, count our lucky stars, but we might just be able to get there. Crash Point asks, was it a suspension failure? Could well have been. There may have been some contact further around the lap that could have triggered that. Trip Bogado wants to know who is the girl leading the feminine race. Well, at the moment, that is Zoe Florescu, just one place ahead of Luna Flucia. So those two could well battle that for the last lap of the weekend. MC Sim Sports wants to know, is Rocco Coronel the famous racing driver that won the Ginetta Junior Championship? Certainly is. It's the same man. So let's see if the Red Bull Golden Boy can pick up any more places. We've run out of time. Safety car is on track, but it's time plus one lap, don't forget. And we had 3 seconds to go when Nacho Tunion crossed the line. So if we can clear the circuit fast enough, we're going to get one final green flag lap. Come on, please. Please. Let's just have one final green flag lap. Of course, it's down to the marshals. They've got to clear the circuit, and it's got to be safe. If it's not safe, then we have to end the race under safety car, but we've got time to make that call. Safety car in this lap! Get in! Well done to the marshals team. We're going to end this race under green flag conditions. Don't you just love Portimao? These Portuguese marshals are absolute legends. Every single one of them needs a pay rise. These guys are the best. So Nacho Tunion, all the pressure is on him again. We're going to get one more green flag lap. Petrovic, Montero, Shawmans, Canthan now P5, Fischer, Mikilev, Coronel, Blascos, and the final point at the moment is going to the Portuguese star Max Radek. Boris Leisen, by the way, is up to 14th. Could he make the points before the checkered flag? Now that we've got this one final green flag lap, there's a chance. So let's see what happens. Nacho Tunion backing up the pack. When he decides to drop the hammer, that's when we're going racing. It's all down to him. He weaves, he drops, he goes for it. Nacho Tunion picking up the pace. Andrei Petrovic giving him the chase, and here comes Noah Montero for the last time this weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship. It's green, 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 green here at Portimao, and we charge for the first corner. Tunion weaving, everybody weaving. Montero trying to make the beat on Petrovic. He's got the toe of Tunion, and Montero could break through to second here. Not with Petrovic on the warpath, you can't. Fantastic from the Serbian. You shall not pass. He was watching Lord of the Rings last night. Andrej Petrovic holds on. Shormans gets his move on the inside of Montero, and up in the air goes the 37 of Ty Fisher. On the grass, down to turn 4. Everyone using every bit of racetrack they can, and in third, after all of that, it's Casper Shormans. Crazy stuff on the last lap here at Portimao. Shormans really is keeping that car as wide as a bus. He wants this podium. He's worked so hard for it, but round the outside, that's Mikulev. Jacob Mikulev round the outside. Where did he come from? And now he kicks out wide, and that's going to cost him 2 places to his teammates. Oh, Jacob Mikulev with a last chance. Almost that third position. Now he's back down to P6. He's going to dive on the inside of his teammates. Montero's going to get hung out to dry. He gets kicked out wide. Coronel's going to come through. And out in front, it is the T-Code domination with Shormans in third position. Everybody's just fighting after scraps here now. Oh my word, drivers going off into the gravel, left, right and centre. Lysian can make it to the top 10 in all of this. But out in front, it is the T-Code bandwagon. They're going to dominate here in Portimao as everybody else struggles for position. There's a car off in the background, but Nacho Tunion fights to the win and gets it at Portimao. Fantastic. Nacho Tunion, what a drive from the Spaniard. He becomes the latest Spanish racer to win in his national F4 championship. Brilliant race. He has yet to score a podium in 2026. Not anymore. What a drive from Nacho Tunion. Second place from Andrej Petrovic, and third, forget this, Casper Shormans, who was fourth, Miki Blaškos. Fifth place for Coronel, sixth for Boris Lysian. That's the kind of final lap we just had. Seventh for Pinera, eighth for Burnett, ninth for Max Redek. The local man scores points, and 10th for Canthan. The man off on the last lap. Sadly, Noah Montero tangling with his teammate Ty Fisher. What a race. And there were several other drivers out on the final lap as well. Florescu out, Frigolet out, Loet out, Urus out. 4 drivers on the last lap retiring. That's how crazy that last lap was. But Miki Blaškos, what a race from him. And he is second in rookie behind Casper Shormans. There you go. There's the flotsam and jetsam around the circuit. Devastating for Florescu, for Frigolet, for Loet, for Urus. So that is the 80 of Sebastian Frigolet in the DXR. He tangled with Zoe Florescu, I believe. We're going to see some replays now because there's quite a few of them, I'm sure. Oh, it's the final corner. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that was a big hit for Frigolet. That was a nasty one out of the final corner. That's what desperation and eagerness can breed. Very scary moment indeed there for Sebastian Frigolet at the end of the race. Hopefully he's okay. But what a crazy end. Portimao is just the ultimate European racetrack, isn't it? It gives you everything. Shrek Bugado asking already, are we going to Portimao next year? Don't blame me, mate. We certainly are for Formula 1, and I'm sure we'll be back for the F4 Spanish Championship. Give this man a lollipop, by the way. Miki Blaškos, second in rookie, fourth overall, his best ever finish. Excellent last lap from Miki Blaškos, who puts the Modlau team back in the top 5 for the first time in a long time. Good race, mate. Great job. And so, Nacho Tunion joins his teammate Andrej Petrovic in the top 3 as the T-Code team sweeps the board, 1 and 2. And that is a fabulous, fabulous result for the team. It's been a while since a team other than MP or Campos has won in the F4 Spanish Championship. Casper Shormans third, he can be happy with that. Andrej Petrovic will be solidly happy with second. comes away with almost maximum points from this race, 20 points in total. For the pole position earlier, he gets the bonus 2, and then 18 for second. But where is Nacho Tunion? He's on the slowest slowing down lap of his life because he wants to soak up the moment. Here he comes. What a drive. And it will mean so much to this flamboyant, lovable young man. Such a great character. The 19-year-old from Oviedo, Fernando Alonso country. And that's what it means to him. Vamos! Fernando Alonso's protege, absolutely on song here at Portimao. The teammates embrace, we liked that, but nobody liked it more than Nacho Tunion. What a race to end the weekend for the F4 Spanish Championship. That was Grandstand Motorsport. And for this boy, hopefully the floodgates will now open and we'll see the racecraft that this guy has week in, week out. He'll get the chance to show it again 2 weeks from now at Motorland Aragon. But what a drive. And it means so much to the 19-year-old. He raced for 5 seasons for the DPK karting team in FIA karting. Fernando Alonso's karting team, essentially. He represented Spain in the karting sprint of the FIA Motorsport Games at Paul Ricard in 2022. He's a very talented young man, is Nacho Tunion. He's got a big, big future ahead of him. And after a race drive like that one, I don't think anybody's in any doubt of that now. Fabulous display and a great performance from Nacho Tunion. Very worthy win. Petrovic and Schulman's very much earning their places on the podium too. But of course, for Boris Leisen, 6th place. That's valuable points when Coronel didn't score a podium finish. He got 5th, and Montero didn't score at all. So that's a very valuable race in the end for Boris Leisen, despite his moment. There could be an investigation, of course, into what happened between him and Nathan Ty on the first lap. But certainly for the moment, it's no panic. Nacho Tunion from Andrei Petrovic and Kasper Schulman in the top 3. Miki Blaskos in P4 after a crazy final lap. Look at the gap from 4th to 10th. It's 10th. Blaskos, Coronel, Pineda, Burnett, Radek, Canthan, and of course at the 10th place, Philippe Carras. Let's have a word with our winner. Alex Garcia is with Nacho Tunion.
Nacho Tunion, ganador en la Fórmula 4 española. Nacho Tunion, winner in the Formula 4 Spanish Championship. I had to say it in Spanish because this is a special moment for you, isn't it?
Vamos España. First of all, I want to dedicate this win to my friend Cento Badenas. He left us 6 months ago. We don't forget him. He left us fighting for his dream till the last moment, and this win is for him.
Tell me about this race, because this was Grandstand Motorsport. This was fantastic race between you and not just any rival. Andrei Petrovic, your teammate. How do you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, what a race. I'm so thankful with the team. I'm so happy, man. This is the first win for the team, first win for myself in an F4. So yeah, so happy. The strategy was amazing, and we nailed it. We were just incredibly fast and managed to do a good race and get the win home.
Now, the team has been doing a lot of progress over the past few months. Do you think that now you can fight for something more, fight perhaps for the championship?
Yeah, you know, it's been a year and a half I've been with them. They've treated me amazing since the very first moment. I'm really happy to be part of T-Code by Amtok Technicar. As you said, we are a team, a small team with not as much as possibilities as other teams that had more resources, but we are growing every time. We are improving every race, and hopefully, of course, we can keep fighting for wins.
Nacho, time to celebrate. Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
So post-race, it's been fairly dramatic because 2 drivers have been given a 5-second penalty post-race. Jakob Mikulev and Boris Leisen, the former championship leader. 5-second penalty. That means he's out of the points, and that means the championship lead reverts back to Rocco Coronel by 2 points, heading to Motorland Aragon in 2 weeks' time. But look at what this means to the team. This is big. This is really big. You've got to remember that this is a championship dominated by Campos and MP. Well, not today. Fabulous result for T-Code. And Nacho Tunion gives the team a fabulous victory The Technicar squad, so proud of their achievements. When anybody manages to knock MP and Campos off the top step in the F4 Spanish Championship, it's historic. Today, one of the craziest, most entertaining, and most fantastic races. And the winner, so deserved. Nacho Tunion, vamos! Excellent result. And for the 19-year-old, it can't really get much better. Now he'll go to his next round of the championship at Motorland Aragon in 2 weeks' time with a much bigger chance to continue his push forward. The resurgence will be strong, and he will definitely be continuing on that fantastic trajectory for the team. They've certainly done a lot of homework to get to this point. It doesn't happen often for one of those teams to get a victory other than MP and Campos, and so it is a big, big opportunity. Trying to go back through the archives and actually look at the last time. I think it was last year, the last time that we had a race winner other than those two teams. And I'm right, the last time it happened, interestingly enough, was at Paul Ricard almost a month ago to the day. And that was Nathan Ty, who got the job done for Rodin. Almost a year ago to the day. And of course, that was the first time in almost a year ago to the day as well. Absolutely astonishing. Well, the last time it had happened prior to that, actually, my apologies, was November 2024 when Juan Cota got the victory at Catalunya in the last race of the year. So when you consider that in the last 18 months, only 3 teams have beaten MP and Campos in the last 18 months, that tells you how big it is for T-Code to get the job done. And I'm fairly sure, I need to confirm it, but I think that might be their first win in the F4 Spanish Championship. Let's go to Alex Garcia. What a historic day for the T-Code by Amtog squad and for Nacho Tunion, with only 3 teams actually getting a win from MP and Campos in the last 18 months. This is huge for the team.
That was spectacular, Jake. That was a fantastic race. That was Formula 4 Spanish Championship at its best, both because the fights were amazing and because we are seeing a little bit of a change of the guard. And ironically, I say change of the guard, but it was the veterans on this team that showed the rookies that, hey, there's a status quo here that we want to keep, and we want to make sure that we show who's boss. And today, it was T-Code, Technicar, who was boss. That was very, very good. And I can only say that I look forward so much to Motorland, because this has just started, and who knows, maybe we have a third team actively fighting for the championship. That would be the best news so far this season.
We would love that. Gracias, Alex. I know you've got to get yourself ready for Euro Cup 3 in a few short minutes. We'll see you for more F4 Spanish action at Aragon in a fortnight. So the drivers getting themselves ready for a bit of a party on the podium. And it's a different cast to what we usually see. Wonderful to see Mickey Blascos in the cool-down room. He absolutely deserves his place there. And good work from Monlau as well, getting a team further up the ranks. Obviously, the Euro Cup 3 race is coming up shortly after this as well, folks. Don't worry about that. It's going to be exciting stuff from them as well. So the 3 teams that have managed to take victories away from MP and Campos over the last 3 seasons are Rodin, who now focus away from the F4 Spanish Championship, sadly. Drivex, whose last win was at the end of 2024. And T-Code, who of course got the job done in a beautiful race just a few short minutes ago. But if you go back to some of the races further back, only a couple of other teams have even had a chance of a look in. Of course, Santalok Racing managed to give the title to Teofil Nal back in 2023. That was the last time a team other than MP and Campos was so spectacular on a consistent basis. But then, of course, in the 2022 season, we almost had a Campos lockout, courtesy of Nikola Tsolov. And it took quite a long time for some of the other teams to have a look in. But there have been teams other than those 2 who have taken a win over the years. Theo Martin Motorsport, who sadly no longer race with us. And, of course, Formula de Campeones, Had a couple of wins for Enrique Bordas at Navarra all the way back in 2021. But certainly in recent times, it hasn't happened much. And it is wonderful to see the Technicar team finally get their first win in the F4 Spanish Championship. They've been threatening it for quite a long time now. And certainly with the likes of Andrei Petrovic and Nacho Tunion in the squad, it was always going to be a matter of when rather than if. And today was the day. And they didn't just do it with a win, they did it with a 1-2. Shades of Jordan in Formula One back in 1998. Shades of Braun GP in Formula One back in 2009. Their first win ends up being a 1-2. The sixth driver in the cool-down room is Luna Flusha. She gets the victory in the ladies' class. Not the weekend she wanted. The Mercedes Junior very much in favor of Toto Wolff. But today, not quite the weekend she was hoping for. We know she's got podium scoring pedigree. She managed to get a podium in the Winter Championship at the beginning of the season, but qualifying hasn't quite gone her way yet. Once she gets that nailed, it's going to get it done. Technicar, the winning team for the first time in the F4 Spanish Championship. History is made here at Portimao. Luna Flusha will take her place on the podium as the leading lady. Not where she wanted to finish, of course. Outside the points on this occasion. Casper Schormans, the Dutchman, another podium and one step closer to his first outright victory. He also gets the rookie win. But listen to the roar as first Andrei Petrovic comes to the podium. The Serbian getting another second place finish. And now, Nacho Tunion, the winner in Portimao. And appropriately enough for Technicar and Nacho Tunion, we'll hear the national anthem of Spain. A fabulous, fabulous result for both team and driver. And of course, a historic one. The F4 Spanish Championship has been conquered by natives outside of the nation in recent years. That's the first time a Spanish driver has won in the F4 Spanish Championship since November 2024, when Juan Cota finished the season in fantastic fashion in Catalonia. It is wonderful to see the Technicar team finally getting that first win that they deserve so much. The trophy for Casper Schormans in fantastic fashion for third position. And there is the ladies' trophy going to Luna Flusha. Not quite in the order that it should be, but still. Luna gets a trophy from her weekend's efforts nonetheless. Although any racing driver doesn't want the ladies' trophy, they want the overall trophy. Andrei Petrovic comes away with a second place again. His championship attack very much alive and kicking here after Portimao. But for Nacho Tunion, a historic first podium, a historic first win, and a historic first win for Technicar T-Code by Amtog, as they are known as well. A fabulous end to a fabulous weekend. 3 brilliant races here at Portimao in Portugal. And now we will allow the drivers to celebrate in style on the podium. They'll get a group picture on the podium first with team boss and, of course, leading lady. The winning rookie is there as well in Casper Schormans, don't forget. So now we are going to celebrate in fantastic fashion one more time here at Portimao as the drivers in the final race of the weekend get busy with the fizzy in fantastic fashion here at Portimao in a historic first win for T-Code by Amtog. They'll be back at it in 2 weeks' time from Motorland Aragon, and we'll be there to see it. From myself, Jake Sanson, and my colleague Alex Garcia, gracias, mi amigos. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you 2 weeks from now for round 3 at Motorland Aragon. Hasta la vista.